This episode is for the writer who is operating under the misconception that every single story and detail has to be included in her manuscript for her memoir to be true. This is a common misunderstanding about memoir, and the truth of this is that if you can create an editorial strategy or filter for your manuscript, it will be clear which stories belong in your memoir and which ones don't. I'm going to explain more in the episode, so let's get into it. Before we dive in, I am so excited to announce that we are entering a new era of the Memoir Method podcast. 2 major upgrades are coming to this space. First, I will be coming to you both on Fridays, as we have been for the past several months, and on Tuesdays, so we get twice a week now. These Tuesday episodes are going to be primarily for sharing specific writer stories and wins. I've realized over my work as an editor, especially interacting with writers on the internet, is that what is especially helpful for you is to see the concepts that I talk about play out in a real manuscript with a real writer. So that is what I get to bring to you every single Tuesday. Plus, I will be in your podcast feed for our regular Friday episodes like today. And secondly, you can now find the Memoir Method podcast on YouTube. If video content is more your speed or is more appealing to some of your writer friends, let them know that this podcast is also found on YouTube. I'll include all the links that you need in the show notes of this episode. And my website will also be updated with all the places where you can find me. So now let's get into the real meat of today's episode. This is one of the hardest truths about memoir writing, and it's one that I try to share with my writers in love. Not everything in your life belongs in your memoir. Your reader is not going to care about everything that you care about. And in fact, there are parts of your story and your life that are going to be distracting to your reader, and it's going to make them care less about what you actually want them to care about. You are so close to your story that you see every single connection, every single detail, and it all feels really important. And I understand that because this is what you've lived. But when we are looking at our stories through an editorial perspective, which is what you are doing as a memoir writer, you have to adopt that. You are going to have to understand that there are some elements of your story that are really important for your reader and others that are not. And that is what makes memoir writing so uniquely overwhelming, is that you are as close to the story as you could possibly be because you've lived it. And also, not all of those details are going to be important. So you need to figure out which ones belong and which ones don't. So today, I want to unpack why this happens, and more importantly, how you can move through that so that you don't feel paralyzed by your manuscript anymore. Let's start with why this block happens. In memoir, you are writing about your own life. The stories that shaped who you are, the people who inform who you are right now. And because you are so close to the material, it can feel like every single detail needs to be included. And I've seen this happen with writers over and over. And I see why they find a particular story or moment or detail important. But what you need to do as a memoir writer is to find the details that actually are important to your reader. Because you know every single detail, every single connection. And part of the magic for you is all of those details. Like that is what has made you who you are. Like all of those little micro moments, experiences, emotions, connections have all fed into this story that you are eager to communicate to your reader. But here's the truth. Not every detail serves your story because your story is not about you. Your story is about your reader. And in fact, some details could even completely derail your message, completely derail the story that you are trying to communicate to your reader. What happens so many times with memoir writers is you get stuck in the writer mindset and you lose the forest for the trees. You're so focused on all of the specific tree that you see in the forest of your story that you forget that there's a forest that needs to be navigated, right? The trees may all be beautiful, But if you are spending all of your time examining the trees, you are not zooming out to evaluate the forest and how you are crafting a trail for your reader to follow. Whenever I work with a writer for the first time, there's always some confusion. They always come to me with a manuscript that is usually on the messier side. And I don't say that out of judgment. I'm very good at being objective and just evaluating, hey, what are we working with here? And it's usually pretty messy. And the solution is always the same. The key to clarity in your memoir is to know your message. What is it that you are trying to say with your story? Why should your reader care about what it is that you are writing? So how do you step back and find clarity? Like, you may be thinking, that's really easy for you to say, Charlotte, but I don't think that you're being very helpful right now. I don't think that, like, you're telling me what I need to do, but I'm here listening to this podcast episode because I don't know what to do. So let's go back to what I said a couple minutes ago. Your story, your memoir is actually not about you. It's about your reader. So you have to know your reader. And deeper than that, you need to know what it is that you want your reader to take away from your story. So what is the lesson, the message, or the theme that is going to tie everything together for your reader? What is the experience that you want them to have? If you don't know your reader, you don't have a memoir. You have a well-written journal. And once you understand who it is that you're writing for and what you want them to take away from your story and the experience that you want them to have in this narrative, then you can start asking the structural questions like, does this detail serve my message? And if it doesn't serve my message, then it probably doesn't need to be there. Knowing your message, it's part of an editorial strategy. But knowing this helps you self-filter out what belongs in your memoir and what doesn't. In an upcoming Tuesday episode, I will be devoting a lot of time to sharing with you the editing experience of a writer who wrote over 150,000 words. Like, that is so many words. If you put that into context of page count, that's over 600 pages. That's way too long for memoir. That's what she brought me. And she was feeling completely crushed by her manuscript. And if I didn't know these editorial strategies, these memoir strategies, then I would also feel crushed by that manuscript, right? If I had written that, like, what do you do that many words, right? So what we did first was we put the manuscript aside for a moment. And then we nailed down her message. We figured out, what is she actually writing? Who is she writing for? And why is she writing it? And once we nailed down her message, then the actual revisions, the cutting, the reorganizing, it became so much more straightforward. It cleared the clutter, it quieted the noise. And she's now working with a draft that is half the size and 10 times more focused. It was once she knew what experience she wanted her reader to have that she was able to effectively edit and cut the details that may have mattered to her personally and are valuable and validated because she experienced them. But when it comes to what her reader needs to know, her reader didn't need to know all of that. And she wouldn't have been able to retain a reader through 150,000 words. Maybe you haven't written 150,000 words, but you might be feeling overwhelmed by your manuscript. Most writers who come to me are in that state of overwhelm. And so you're not alone. You're not crazy. You're not a bad writer. You are not crazy for wanting to do this. And you're not a lost cause. I promise. This blind spot, it's not your fault. Most writers hit this point because they've never been taught how to approach their memoir strategically. I'm a part of a few different memoir groups in Facebook, and the problems that these writers bring in are kind of the same ones over and over. How do I structure this? Or I don't really know how to make sense of this story. I'm worried about repeating myself, like all of these things. And the problem is they're not coming at their manuscript with any sort of editorial strategy. You think that you have everything that you need because you've lived the story. You don't have to make anything up. What you have it all. It's all in your head. It's all right there. It's in journals. It's in scrapbooks, all the things. You have everything you need. So it should be pretty straightforward for how to put that together. But that is not an editorial strategy. And without an editorial strategy for your memoir, it's going to feel messy. It's going to feel confusing, and it's going to be overwhelming. And so this is exactly what I'm here to solve. I have a new collection of mini master classes called the Memoir Strategy Collection. It's exactly what this collection is designed to help you with, is to identify these blind spots in your writing process. Because the truth is that you don't know what you don't know. And this is what I see all the time, writers coming to me with the same problems, but they don't even realize the different blind spots that they have. They don't even like, oh, well, who am I writing for? Who is on the other side of this? Wait, my reader isn't going to care about my story just because I care about it? So the Memoir Strategy Collection is a 4-part mini masterclass series that is designed to walk you through the mindsets and strategies that you need to bring clarity and direction to your story. Overwhelm is the last thing that should stop you from finishing your manuscript, and it is the most common emotional, mental experience that stops writers in their tracks. It's like trying to swim through mud or swim with boots on. You're trying and you're working so hard and you care so much, but eventually you're just like, I can't do this anymore. I'm so tired. Like, the overwhelm is going to exhaust you. So you need to figure out what is actually causing the overwhelm and how to shortcut it, how to hack the overwhelm so that you can write the story that you're here to write. And most importantly, write the story that your reader needs. I assure you, every single one of you has a reader on the other side of the page waiting for you to finish your manuscript, waiting for you to go through the revisions and publication process, because they need your story and your words. 100%. And so don't let overwhelm stop you. It's such a common experience. It's such a natural experience in memoir writing that we shouldn't give it so much power. Like, let's figure out how to hack this, how to shortcut it. And that is what the Memoir Strategy Collection does. These are 4 40-minute mini masterclasses where I come at these blind spots from a variety of angles to show you how to think like an author, how to find your focus, how to understand what your memoir needs as far as clarity, like what that's going to look like for you, how to hook your reader, and what are the back-end mindsets and perspectives behind hooking your reader so that they keep reading. I come at all of these in this Memoir Mindset collection. I'll include the link to that in the show notes. You can binge all 4 of these mini masterclasses in an afternoon, and you want to stop wasting your time. You want to stop spinning your wheels. You want to make progress. You want to feel like what you're doing as a writer matters. And that starts with a memoir strategy, which starts with the Memoir Strategy Collection. All the links you need are in the show notes. I walk writers through these blocks all the time. And it's my superpower as your editor to highlight your blind spots, help you know how to move through them so that you can make the most of your writing time, you can make the most of your manuscript, and ultimately you can finish this manuscript. You can move it through to publication when you have these strategies in place. You're going to shortcut the line. Your writing is going to grow by leaps and bounds with the tools and frameworks that I teach in the Memoir Strategy Collection. So head to the link, enroll in that now. It's all instant access, and start cutting through that overwhelm. You don't need that. You don't need that energy. Your overwhelm doesn't belong in your writing process anymore. I'm here to help you discard that, to help you move past it, to really make the most of everything that you have to offer your story and your memoir. You can do this, I promise. And I will see you on Tuesday for our first Tuesday episode.